Hi, I'm Mr. Bo, and yes, we're talking about that rumoured Crash Bandicoot multiplayer game once more. So, the Summer Game Fest is fast approaching. This Thursday, June 9th, Jeff Keighley will be hosting the kickoff live event in which we'll get a load of announcements for brand new games as well as some previously announced games. And we were going into this not really expecting anything from Crash Bandicoot, as we've been talking about this rumoured PvP game for over a year now, and well, nothing's come of it, even though we've been getting teasers all the way since November 2021 to where we are now. But then this last weekend, something happened. We got an episode of the Windows Central Gaming podcast with special guests Randall Thor19 and Jez Corden of the Xbox 2 podcast. Jez is a writer for Windows Central Gaming, and he has leaked out a lot of stuff over the years that has usually come to fruition. Most recently, he's leaked out codenames for upcoming Xbox projects, as well as details on the upcoming Halo Battle Royale mode, and he's even put up exclusive articles about things like Xbox's Keystone, their upcoming streaming stick. When it comes to leaks, he is very credible, and he's mentioned on the Xbox 2 podcast that he only really reveals stuff if he's got hard copy evidence of whatever it is that he's leaking. So usually when you get a leak from someone like a Jeff Grubb, a Jez Corden, or even a Jason Schreier, chances are they're probably pretty legit. So in last week's episode of the Windows Central Gaming podcast, they were talking about their predictions from different studios, and they mentioned Activision, and Randall Thor mentioned Modern Warfare 2, and then he said he would expect to see something maybe from Toys for Bob that was Crash Bandicoot related, to which then Jez Corden said, "I wonder where you heard that from." And here's the clip.
Outside of Modern Warfare 2, I think Toys for Bob shows off a new Crash game.
Oh,
new Crash? I wonder where he got that information from, Brad.
Well, I mean, we literally talked about it on the last podcast. Last two podcasts.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
I wasn't supposed to leak that.
Well, you didn't leak it.
Oh, did I not? Okay. I mean, yeah, that's a good prediction, man. Good prediction. I think we could see a new Crash Bandicoot. And not only is it going to be a new Crash Bandicoot, it's going to be a multiplayer Crash Bandicoot. Crazy, right?
Fusion Frenzy style? Mario Party?
I don't know.
It's that Wumpa League game that's been delayed for a while, Miles.
Oh, okay.
I think it's not called that though. What's it called? I know what it's called, but I've forgotten. But it's like a 4-player brawler almost, but Crash oriented.
So as you can see, Jez kind of gets a little bit confused, thinking that he talked to Randall Thor about a leaked Crash Bandicoot game when Randall Thor was basically just sort of speculating. And then Jez Corden accidentally leaks the information that he has about a new Crash Bandicoot game, which he says is a multiplayer game, which we had assumed, and he describes it as a brawler, which I think a lot of people are jumping to the conclusion that that must mean this is a fighting game like Smash Brothers or even the newly announced Multiverses game. But I don't think in this kind of scenario that's what he's probably talking about. We've talked about what this game could be for over a year now, thanks to rumours and leaks, and I think it's still along those same lines. And if you aren't aware of any of that information, then I'll leave links to videos in the description below where you can go and catch up. I think if this upcoming game is indeed a fighter, then he would have come out and just said it is a fighting game. I think this is more along the lines of what we've been talking about, where this is a multiplayer arena game that is sort of a brawler. You're not going to be using guns, and it's not going to be a first-person shooter. It's going to be a brawler type gameplay, but in sort of a more 3D platformer arena style. But with that out of the way, what does that mean going forwards? As I mentioned, Jez is a credible leaker, and he usually doesn't mention stuff unless he's got multiple sources and he can 100% confirm it is true. And outside of Liam Robertson, he is the only person within the industry who's ever made any sort of confirmation that this is a real project. Now, one thing he does note is he's heard it's not called Wumpa League, and he does know what it's called, but he just couldn't remember the name of it. And that makes sense. Wumpa League was never confirmed to be the name, it was just shown in one of the teasers, and the community kind of adopted that as what it could be called. It's probably going to be called Crash Bandicoot something something, like Crash Bash, like Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, a name that is a little bit more indicative of what type of game it is. Now, does this mean we're going to be seeing whatever this game is at the Summer Game Fest? Well, maybe, maybe not. I'm still not expecting anything at the kickoff live event. though I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe do get an announcement here. One thing worth noting is this is what Jeff Keighley has said about the Kickoff Live event. He says, manage your expectations. The Summer Game Fest show will primarily focus on games that have already been announced. Now that isn't to say we won't be getting announcements for brand new games, because I'm sure we will, but most of the games there are going to be things we already know about. That also brings up the question that some people might be asking is, maybe we'll see this at the Xbox Bethesda game showcase. And while Xbox doesn't officially own Activision yet, I believe PlayStation still has some sort of marketing deal with Crash Bandicoot, because we did indeed get a teaser in a PlayStation advert last year. So where does this leave us? Well, it leaves us a little bit less confused about what's going on. I think a lot of the community had given up on a brand new game coming, but the fact that Jez mentioned it here makes me believe that this game is still in development. It either went through a change of what the game was, or it just saw delays thanks to Call of Duty Warzone and the pandemic, and it is still scheduled to come out maybe this year or next year. It'll be interesting to see if we do get anything on Thursday, and if we don't, then maybe Jez will talk about it in the podcast next weekend on the Xbox 2 podcast, which he hosts again with Randall Thor. All we can really do is wait, but I think this is going to reassure the community that we aren't just waiting for nothing at this point. Something is still probably on its way. Anyways, I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments below. What do you think about this multiplayer game? Do you trust what Jez says and that the game is still in development and it's not called Wumpa League and it is a brawler game? Or maybe you're just past it at this point and you've given up hope, and if something comes, cool, but if not, you're not going to be disappointed. Again, go into the Summer Game Fest show not expecting anything, and if we get an announcement, then cool. And then if we don't, well, we'll just have to wait and see if anything does indeed come. If you guys enjoyed this video, then click that like button. If you're not already, consider subscribing for more gaming content and coverage. I will be live reacting to the Summer Game Fest show on Thursday, so make sure you check that out. I'll also be doing a live reaction to the Xbox and Bethesda showcase on Sunday. Apart from all that though, thanks for hanging out with me. Hopefully I'll catch you around. Until then, take care. Cheers.